Hello everyone and welcome to a new series called Raspberry Pi Beginners. Here we will be going through some of the basic and most fundamental aspects of a Raspberry Pi, which is currently the most popular single board computer. So without any further delay, let's get started. Firstly, answering the most basic and fundamental question. What is a Raspberry Pi exactly? Well, it is the most popular single board computer. Its size is approximately equal to that of a credit card. One of the main advantages that Raspberry Pi offers is its compactness and portability. Our Raspberry Pis are available in different models and packages. The most widely used Raspberry Pi right now is the 3B Plus model. And there are even more compact alternatives to that as well. The Raspberry Pi 0W and the latest Raspberry A Plus are few examples of the Raspberry Pi family. When it comes to project development, the two most commonly used boards are Arduino and Raspberry Pi. So naturally, the next question that arises in our mind is, should we use Arduino or Raspberry Pi for our project? An Arduino is good at providing simple hardware solution. For example, it has a built-in ADC and the Raspberry doesn't. Many sensor module uses analog output and using them with Arduino is way easier than the Raspberry Pi. The advantage of Raspberry Pi over Arduino when it comes to operating system is unmatched. The Debian operating system on the Raspberry Pi provides you with a wide range of functionalities like the ability to connect to the internet. So finally, coming to the conclusion of this question, an Arduino is very good at basic hardware projects. If we want to read the output locally, then an Arduino is certainly a good choice. But if you want more advanced and sophisticated project that requires you to stay connected with servers and stuff, then you would definitely want to go with the Raspberry Pi. So I guess now you might have some basic understanding about the Raspberry Pi. Now let's have some latest and the different model of Raspberry Pi for a comparison test. The different models which we will be comparing are a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, a Raspberry Pi A Plus and a Raspberry Pi 0WH. So this is a comparison table. As you can see, the release dates are mentioned. The latest one is the Raspberry Pi A Plus, then there is the Raspberry Pi B Plus and the 0W. Of the different models, the cheapest one of the bunch is the Raspberry Pi 0W. Its price is about approximately 1200 to 1500 INR depending on where you buy it. Then there is the A Plus at 2200 rupees and the Raspberry Pi 3P Plus at about 3100 INR. Coming to the next point, the processor. All three of them use a Broadcom chip. The Raspberry Pi 3B Plus and the A Plus have the same processor with the same number of CPU count, clocked at 1.4 GHz, whereas the Raspberry Pi 0W has only one core, which is clocked at 1 GHz. Interestingly, the RAM on Raspberry Pi A Plus and 0W are the same, which is 512 MB, and the RAM on Raspberry Pi 3B Plus is 1 GB. Next, have some look on the peripherals. The Raspberry Pi 3B Plus has 4 USB ports, which is 2.0 enabled, whereas the Raspberry Pi A Plus has only one USB port and the Raspberry Pi 0W has just a mini USB. Where all the different models have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, only the 3B Plus has an Ethernet port. The power ratings on all the models are different as well. The 0W has a power rating of about 80 milliamperes and so. The 3B Plus has about 1.3 amperes and the ratings for A Plus are quite not defined yet as it is the latest model. The GPIO layout for all the three models are same. All of them has a 40-pin digital GPIO and the various type of interfaces, that is SPI, I2C, are also same for all the models. So that was a comparison, and now let's look the applications based on the different model. As seen earlier, different models of Raspberry Pi have different performance capability. The Raspberry Pi 3B Plus is the best when it comes to sheer performance, whereas the Raspberry Pi 0W is the one you should use when you want to do a lightweight project that requires internet connectivity. The latest model A Plus, well, it comes in between. The Raspberry Pi 3B Plus and 0W are quite the extremes of the end. The performance will be not as good as the 3B Plus, but the compactness and power consumption that A Plus give has a little edge over the 3B model. All these three models have a 40-pin GPIO layout and the sensors that can be connected to all the Raspberry Pi are the same. Moving on, now let's see some disadvantages of the Raspberry Pi. When comparing a Raspberry Pi with something like an Arduino, the performance is better. But still, when looking at the bigger picture, Raspberry Pi lacks the power to do intense and heavy tasks. Raspberry Pi only has 1 GB of RAM, which is quite low when compared to other single board computer offered by the competitors. Also, when considering the IoT field where Raspberry Pi are very commonly used, the power consumption is quite high. Raspberry Pi may use 5V, but it requires 2 amperes, which is quite high when you want to run a system on the battery. The applications and the IoT projects which you can do on a Raspberry Pi is also limited. You don't want to use a Raspberry Pi just to blink a couple of LEDs. Neither you want to use a Raspberry Pi to do some continuous images processing and stuff. Raspberry Pi is still very good at web-based projects, but you can't use a Raspberry Pi everywhere without compromising on anything. If you have any doubt regarding this video, then feel free to ask any question below. I hope you liked the video and some of the doubts were cleared. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe the video. That's it from now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.